guys? And it's Sukhu Finance here, Y2K Credit Solutions. Happy Friday, guys. So, it's beautiful back here, right? Peaceful. A couple days back, I think a week back, we posted we did a post about a tenant landlord situation that was going on in Brooklyn, New York, right? And we did the post. I made my opinion about it. People had a lot of people commented on it. Got some DMs from a lot of clients, and they were asking about how can they prevent this from happening to them, because a lot of them are first-time home buyers. They're new to the landlord-tenant relationships. They're getting into the industry now, purchasing a home and having to rent it out. So, they reached out to me like, how can they prevent it and not be taken advantage of, not getting stuck with a tenant, a disgruntled tenant's not going to pay rent? How do they avoid that, right? So, you guys know I'm a landlord tenant as well. Tenant landlord, however you want to call it, investment properties. So I'll give you 5 of my tips that works for me. It's very straightforward. I think it can work for everyone, especially if you're a first-time home buyer, because there's no service. There is services you can use to find tenants, but you can, it costs you, right? If you can do it yourself, why not? You save yourself some money. So let's get into my tips. So we're gonna call this Friday tip day on the golf course. Even though I don't golf, I'm gonna start though. Anyway, so let's get into this. Tip number 1. I always say this to every single one of my clients. If this is your first home, your second home, if it's a rental property, if it's gonna be a rent, it's not gonna be your home you're gonna live in. You wanna make sure that when you purchase this home, you have 6 months of reserves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 months of reserves to bail yourself out to cover the mortgage. Why? Because I find that, and I have a lot of clients that they purchase home, and the next day they're stuck. They have to find a tenant real quick. Now you're stuck taking any kind of tenants that you get, not doing your background check, your due diligence on them. You're stuck taking them. Here comes 5 months later, they can't pay the rent. You end up in a situation. My personal philosophy is that I have 6 months of reserve to pay my mortgage while I take my time and vet my tenants and look for proper tenants, right? Because, I put it this way, 30 days of timing and taking my time to do it will save me a year worth of headaches. I don't have time for headaches, right? And it costs you, it's coming out of your pocket, right? So, and also when you purchase a home, this is why I preach, have good credit. You have a credit card that has a high limit, you can bail yourself out. Nobody's gonna bail you out. You have to bail yourself out. You have to be able to bail yourself out, right? So first thing is, make sure you have 6 months of reserves to pay your mortgage. You're not struggling while you look for your tenants and vet your tenants, right? Second thing is, most important, is credit. Credit. And you don't want to report, here's the thing, reports can be fluffed. People look pretty on paper, but in real life, it's all camouflage, right? People look pretty on paper, but in real life, it's all camouflage. And what I mean by that is that people can fluff their credit, right? A lot of people use credit repair companies to fix their credit. And while they're fixing their credit, when they send that dispute letter into the credit bureau, on the item that's being disputed, it says account being disputed by consumer, and the credit bureau will give you the points back, all right? They'll give you temporary credit points so your score looks fluffed. A lot of people look at Credit Karma. The score may say it's 750, 760. In real life, you're only 550, 560, right? People like to provide, and they know some tenants don't want, and here's the thing. A lot of landlords tell them, hey, bring your report. Why? Because landlords are too cheap and lazy to pull their own report. I don't do that. I pull the report for you because I want to know where the source is coming from, legitimate source, and I get all 3 bureaus real time, so I know the report is real. But if you don't want to do that, you don't want your clients to bring any report from Credit Sesame or Credit Karma. You don't want that. Get a report from a reliable source, annual credit report, credit check total, or go on our website, Y2KCreditSolutions.com, and on the homepage, there is a link for Score Navigator. Have your client click the third option, fill it out, pay for the report, and send you the report. Not only that, the fact that they paid for that report and took the time to do that, you know that they're not blowing smoke up your ass, right? So, want to make sure that you get a reliable report, and it's not a fluff report. The second part about credit reports is you want to understand how to read the report, because you can look at a score of 680, 700. Oh wow, they have a good score. That's cool. I see that. but I want to look at the accounts that you're paying on, right? So for example, some clients may have, let's say you have a Nordstrom credit card, right? The credit limit is 10,000, you owe 10,000. That means the card's maxed out and you're only paying the minimum on the card. What does that tell me? You're financially struggling a little bit. Go to the report. Don't look at the scores only. The score is great. This score is going to be fluffed up. Look at the data on the report, guys, and understand that, and see if the client is struggling to make payments and got maxed out credit card, or they're missing payments on accounts and it's consecutive. That's a red flag. You may not want to deal with this tenant. All right, that's a red flag. You may not want to deal with this tenant. So you want to make sure that you look into the report, understand the report, and so forth. Right. The next thing I look at is employment. Right. Now here's the thing. I have no problem if you work in retail space, food industry, where you work at. However, my rent is $4,000 a month for one of my properties. If you're not making that at real retail jobs or food services job, you're not, right? So I say that to say this, that I only rent to tenants that have like responsible professional tenants, like people that are lawyers, doctors, business owners that have families. I don't rent to any and everybody. I pick and choose my tenant. Unfortunately, I have to, because I don't want to deal with stress. I want quality tenants. All right. The next thing I want to tell you about is to, if your tenant came from another rental property, and depending if they rent from a corporation or a private lender, a private renter. What a corporation is, so let's say TF Cornerstone in New York, they rent penthouses in Long Island City. I live there. That's a corporation. You're renting from a company. Privately is when a family or a person has a 2-family home and they're renting one of the floors from you. On corporation rent, there's a service called Tenant Screener. You can Google this, you can create an account, you can get the service from Google it. A lot of companies provide the data for you. You can see if the tenants was disgruntled, if they paid their rent on time, they were evicted. A lot of people don't want to tell you that, right? So you can get that service and invest. It's probably like what, $100, and they'll tell you the whole tenant, your applicant's background. The second half of it is if they rent from a private owner. Now, a private owner they wouldn't put stuff on tenant screen. They wouldn't put stuff on public record. So you want to pick the phone up and call the last landlord and ask them how was the relationship with the tenant. All right, were they paying on time? Were they late? Were there issues? So you want to know. Do your homework, guys. I'm telling you guys that you can avoid yourself a lot of problems and a lot of money coming out of your pocket unnecessarily, just by taking your time to vet your tenants. Next thing you want to check is ask your tenant for a bank statement. Just want 90 days. You want to see money coming in and going out. If they're running negatives all the time, $35 insufficient funds fee, $35 insufficient funds fee, account is negative, how are they going to pay the rent? They're struggling financially. If they don't have a checking account and they can't provide that statement, I don't know if I want a tenant that can't give me I don't want cash, I want a check. Everything has to be paper trail. So if you don't have a checking account, why don't you have a checking account? Checking accounts are free right now. So those are the things you can control and you can vet your tenants with. So guys, these tips, a lot of you guys ask me for the tips on how to avoid it. I'm telling you raw data. This is how I do it. It works for me, and I believe, trust me, I know it's going to work for you. But you got to want to be able to invest in and protect your asset and your property at all times, at all means as well too. I do the work that way, but the biggest thing is to make sure that I have reserves to cover the mortgage while I look for my tenant. All right, guys. Well, hope those tips help you guys and give you some guidance when it comes to renting and becoming a landlord. Right? Happy Friday. By the way, if you haven't done so already, click the link in our bio up there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. A lot of information on there. If you have any questions, anything you want, add to this video, leave a comment below, and I'll try to answer as much as I can for you guys. Well, that's my tip of the day, Tip Friday. Talk to you guys soon. Enjoy your Friday. Be safe. Cheers.